Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Touching Bases podcast. Now, today is going to be a little bit slower day. Obviously, yesterday I released, well, honestly, I think it posted, sadly, I think it posted today. My internet has been super slow. In fact, I want to check on this. Didn't come out. My bad. That's super frustrating. Now, today's kind of what I wanted to talk about was a lot of the free agents that are still available. I'm kind of in the wrong attire because I think the big news right now is really talking about the Padres. But you know what? I'm always vibing with the Mariners, so why not? Let's get to it. Top of the things that I really want to talk about, and everybody's been kind of bringing up, I think every week, is Jordan Montgomery of the Texas Rangers. Now, he obviously went to the World Series. They won it. He was the star. He made a name for himself this season, especially. And they are saying that there's 6 clubs that are interested in him, which is still too many to really figure out who's going to dial it in. Because I think when a free agent is talking to a bunch of teams, it really starts coming down to the 2 or 3 teams that are interested, because eventually some of them will fall off because they start announcing and showing their interest, or they're spotted speaking to another player that's in that position, and because either you can't afford it or that player does not want to play there ever again. I think, honestly, I feel like Texas is probably going to bring him back. Why he didn't extend with them, I think it's because he wants to see what his options are. The Rangers did lose a few people, so that might hurt them for the World Series chances next year. But I still think Texas is in the ranks. Of course, you have the Mets, you have the Red Sox, you have the Yankees, and I think there's a team that really needs a starting pitcher, and I think that was maybe the one thing that kept them from going to the World Series and possibly winning it, and that's the Phillies. I think the Phillies are extremely good. Having Aaron Nola, having Zach Wheeler, who just dominated in the postseason, especially if he was on the mound, the team won. But the rest of that bullpen, or I should say, the rest of the starting pitcher roles, they were a bit sparse. They didn't come through, and that, I think, was the determination of whether they're going to make it. Also, Kimbrel kind of blew it on one of the postseason games. But he's gone now to the Orioles. So I think Montgomery would probably be an amazing fit in Philadelphia, and I think that insane crowd, those fans in Philly, are, I don't want to say obnoxious, but they are rough. And if he's playing well, he's going to get the cheering and excitement and fan base of a lifetime. Nobody else is going to offer that. And I know that the Yankees have the budget. I know the Red Sox now are going to need a starting pitcher because Chris Sale's gone. So I'm not counting them out by any means, but for some reason, man, the Phillies seems like a golden ticket way to go, since the Phillies, I don't think they lost anybody besides Rhys Hoskins, and they didn't really need him. As you guys saw in the postseason. I mean, I'm just saying, Schwarber was a home run. He looked like a modern day Babe Ruth. Just saying. He was smacking balls like, if he came up to the plate, it was a home run or it was a strikeout. It was one of the two. And more often than so, he hit a home run. I think the Phillies would be a good spot. I don't exactly have an insane amount of research into this, and as far as the budget goes and what Phillies can do. I haven't been paying attention to them, but knowing their fan base, knowing how many people show up to their games, knowing how far they made it in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure they have the cap space to bring on Jordan Montgomery if Montgomery wants to, wants to play there. I don't know. I mean, another thing also is Blake Snell's on the market now. Blake Snell is from Seattle. And I think all the fans in Seattle really would like to see him show up and play in Seattle, where he feels he's at home. I'm gonna keep hitting on this morale thing. If the player likes where they're at, they're gonna play better because they can be in the zone. They're not stressed out about ridiculous stuff. Can we afford him? Probably not. That's kind of the big issue. So I don't know exactly if he would be willing to take a pay cut to come play for a certain amount of time with the Mariners and add to that starting rotation, which would then possibly open up the door for us to trade one of our younger pitchers, or if we wanted to roll the dice and say that he is able to stay healthy and perform like he did with his 2 Cy Youngs that he achieved while he was in San Diego, that would mean that we could probably let go of Luis Castillo. I don't want to, because I think he's our best pitcher right now besides George Kirby. That's kind of a toss-up for me. I think George Kirby performed better last year, but Castillo has a better track record of being proficient and has the stamina to repeat his performance over and over again. But while we're waiting for Robbie Ray to come back, Blake Snell could be that number 5 hole somewhere, and he would love to be here. And man, why not another Cy Young in a pitcher's ballpark? You know what I mean? It sounds good to me. But of course, I don't know. I'm gonna probably go on a limb and say that someone has the money to pick up Blake Snell and is gonna probably offer him a contract he can't refuse. Maybe even Texas. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of tying in to the Padres. Josh Hader. I mean, probably deemed the best closer, and maybe in a couple of years be deemed like the best closer in baseball to ever live. Josh Hader, man, he's good. He is good. And my issue is that he's going to be asking for a lot of money, and something's telling me that the Dodgers are going to pick him up because they still seem to not hit their cap as far as money goes. And why not? You have one DH batter that is going to pitch in 2025 and probably bring the same nasty stuff that he had before with an amazing ERA. You have Yamamoto, who's going to be filling that spot right now. You have Buehler, did great last year. I don't know what's happening with Kershaw. I'm going to expect him to bring him back maybe for a 1-year deal. He might be retiring here soon. And you have a decent rotation, but you don't have a closer. Come on. They don't really have a closer. They have the money. Hader's the best. They're going balls out. Why not? If you're gonna spend all this money, secure it. The end of the game is the biggest thing. If the bats aren't alive for some reason on one day, but you can get a couple runs and your pitching's dominant, get something to close it out. I just think Hader's gonna go to. I think he's gonna go to the Dodgers. The only other idea that I could think of that the Padres are looking at, because they lost Josh Hader and he's out on the free market and he didn't resign, and I don't know if their budget is within reason for them either, would be the Korean closer that they're talking about bringing over, who probably is better than Hader, but it's untested in the MLB. But I mean, looking at this guy, so Woo Suk Go. I don't know if that's right, but Woo Suk Go, I'm going to assume that's the way it is. Reliever from Korea. The Padres have been talking to him an endless amount for the last few weeks. They already have the Japanese left-hander, which is Yuki Matsui. Not the same, for the record. So, in Korea, posted a 3.18 ERA, 139 saves. He notched 401 strikeouts in 368 and a third inning. My rule of thumb is if you are striking out one batter an inning at a minimum, as a closer, you're doing your job pretty damn good. He's only 5'11", throws in mid-90s. He can touch 98. I mean, his walk rate's at 11.6%, but that's still not that bad. I see the Padres picking them up. I really hope they do. We're getting a ton of influx of international players this year. Yamamoto, Matsui, now Go, Young-Ho Lee with we went to the Giants. The team's still there. They lost Soto, but I don't think that that's going to change much given their horrible year last year. Granted, I also think I've from what I've seen and read about, the clubhouse is not exactly in the best of conditions as far as morale goes for San Diego. I don't know if it's because they were losing or just because the guys didn't get along, or if it's the drama with Tatis and his steroid use and then coming back. Lastly, before I get to the Mariners, the Blue Jays are, I guess, in the market still for Cody Bellinger. I mean, the Blue Jays have made a lot of moves. They picked up Isaiah Kiner, who else? Kiermaier, and they still have Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Like, they're pretty stacked. They have good bats. They were preparing. I'm pretty damn sure that they were reserved for $700 million for Ohtani, and when that fell through and it just didn't happen, and Ohtani saw the Dodgers as the option, man, I think Bellinger is probably going to go to the Blue Jays, and that fan base is just going to show up to see him, and he's going to probably dominate because last year he proved himself. So that's my prediction. I think he's going to get signed with the Blue Jays. That's my guess. Take over left field and just run a show with Kiermaier out there. Lastly, because there's not a ton of news. I really touched on a lot. I don't really care about the Wander Franco stuff. He got caught and he got arrested. I don't know why he was running or if he was just not in the area, and perfect timing for when he was having raids on his house. I don't know. So hopefully he didn't do what he was doing. Everything seems a little fishy given the blackmail stuff, the demand for money and all this stuff. So he's from the Dominican Republic, I believe, and the culture down there is a lot different than up here. I'm not justifying anything that he's accused of doing if he did do it, but that's not uncommon down there. There's my line of work. There's a lot of international families that will come in, and they'll present themselves, but the age difference is pretty dramatic and drastic, to where in the U.S. it's not legal, but they have marriage certificates down in Dominican Republic, Colombia, El Salvador. That's all I'll say about Wander Franco. He basically did a New Year's resolution on 2024 for the Mariners, and kind of the things that he pointed out was that Rodriguez joins the 40-40 club. Go Julio, maybe, possibly. I don't know. Yeah, so he's the youngest player in the NL and AL history to reach 25 home runs and 25 steals. And as a 21-year-old rookie in 2022, he then became the first player in the AL and NL history to hit 25 homers and steal 25 bases in each of his first two seasons by belting 32 home runs and swiping 37 bags in 2023. So why would he not be able to do 40 home runs and steal 40 bags and be a 40-40 club member? I don't know. I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. He was able to put up 32 home runs and swipe 37 bags last season, and he had some droughts, man. I mentioned it yesterday in the podcast that he let me down so many times. I'm still a huge fan of him. I love Julio. He's my guy, but he had like 3 or 4 months. Yeah, probably 3 months that man, no clutch performance, like strikeouts instead of doing anything great when we needed him the most. When he came up to bat, everybody's on their feet, they're cheering. You go to a game and it's just exciting, and he strikes out. And then you're like, what the? Is it possible? Absolutely. He's able to do that much, and he had some down months. If he was able to stay consistent through the entire month, I don't see why he can't hit 40 home runs and take 37 bags. How many home runs did he hit? 42 in the home run derby or something like that? He didn't win it, but he gassed himself in the first round when he got to the very end. So he has the ability to do it. I don't see why he can't hit 8 more home runs and steal like 3 more bags than last year. Very doable. So next one he mentions is Mitch Garver staying healthy. I think that's our biggest concern. If he can stay healthy, good to go. His career OPS is 825, and he averages 30 home runs per 162 games, but he's never played 162 games. So maybe he can do that this year. That would be my interest. If he can just be solid through the whole season, just healthy through the whole season, shows up to every game, is able to bat every game, and he's able to contribute to 1 or 2 runs every game, that makes him the Mariner MVP. That would be the best thing ever. That's what I would look forward to. I don't know where he's going to bat. Probably 3rd, maybe 4th. Probably 4th because Ty France is probably going to bat 5th. But that also leads into Ty France. He was terrible last year. I mean, batting-wise, I don't know what happened. But if he can just come back, I mean, he slugged 366. It really was not that good. He got cold. But the year before, he was popping it like crazy. I don't know exactly what killed it. But if he can get back into the groove that he was in, maybe he can get with Brant Brown, and maybe they can figure something out and really push to make this work. Then 1,000%, I believe in him. If he can just get his contact down, he has the power. If he can just get his contact, he will be the first baseman that we're expecting him to be. And then him with Mitch Garver and Julio and Crawford, I'm happy. Cal Raleigh, you know what? Put him anywhere because he's gonna smack him, and I love it. And you know what? Maybe even put Cal Raleigh at the bottom of the lineup, just to have some power in there. Is he 7th? Maybe 7th, just so that we can have Rojas and Canzone, maybe just get on base, take a walk. Cal can knock him in. Why not? I'm all about it. George Kirby, next year, enter the Cy Young conversation. I don't know why he wasn't part of the conversation last year. Looking at stats, he was like number 1 or 2 in most areas. He had a 1.04 whip with 37 starts. I mean, he pitched a 3.35 ERA. I mean, he had the lowest walk rate, in baseball. 0.9. I mean, the highest strikeout to walk ratio being a 9.1. How do you not win it last year? I know people have different names and stuff, and the teams went farther. We didn't even make the playoffs. I get it, but man, like, I don't know how he didn't win the Cy Young Award. And I think this year, since there's so much, this coming year, there's so much of a focus on the Mariners pitching that now they were going to get the recognition that they deserve. So I think that's going to be possible. And then, of course, just the Mariners reaching the AL Championship Series. I actually disagree with this one. I think resolution for the Mariners should be to make it to the World Series for once. Honestly, I would love it if we'd win a World Series. But I just want us to go because I want to get this title off of our name that says we are the only team that has never even appeared at a World Series. I just want to get rid of that title. I don't even care if we win. If we make it to the World Series, fine with me. Make it to the World Series, playing the Dodgers, and then we get our asses handed to us. I'm fine with that. I don't want to say I'm content, but at this point, I think Mariner fans are looking for just something. We need something at this point. And then it's a funny thought that I had not too long ago is this whole hatred from the fan base for Stanton, the owner, and how he won't spend the money and won't do what we were hoping for when we have options available to us. And like, it really puts fans in a predicament, because what if we make it to a World Series? What if we make it to an AL Championship Series? It's not going to motivate him to spend more money. In fact, it's going to motivate him to cut back because it's not needed. We're able to make it this far, but not spend as much. So it's like a double-edged sword, and I don't know how the Mariners are going to reach it. But yeah, I just hope we win. I don't even care anymore. Maybe it'll trigger something that will help us win. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna go into some breaks. We're gonna break a couple boxes of Topps Chrome blaster boxes, I believe. If you're into the card thing, we'll break them. I've been hanging on to them for a while, so we'll see what we got. I'm excited to see what we have here. On the back side here, I have Striker Breaks. He's one of my favorite guys on YouTube that I've been watching, as far as watching him break open packs, and right now he's getting a signed Corey Lee Astros. Thank you guys for watching the podcast today. I'm glad it was a little bit shorter, but that's all the news that's really broken out today and what I wanted to touch bases on. And we will see you in the next one. So there you go.